Hey guys, welcome back to Scale Auto Guys Workbench. Today we're working on this Craftsman Plus Series 68 Pontiac GTO Hardtop from AMT. Because this is a Craftsman Plus series, like all of the other Craftsman Plus series, this kit does not come with an engine. But it does come with an opening in the chassis and an opening hood, so that if you have an engine, you can install an engine in this kit. First off, here's the body, and as I said, opening hood. The body's nice and clean. There's no flash at all on this kit, on this body, anywhere. There is a couple of mold lines up here on the corners of the roof, and there's a little swirling in the plastic, but that's all normal. That can be cleaned up real quick with some fine sandpaper. So there's your body. On this first tree is your interior tub and your wheel backs. The interior tub is smooth on the bottom. There's no carpeting detail at all anywhere. The door detail is fairly light. You can still get in there and paint it, but there's not a whole lot there to it. Next up is your one-piece chassis. Here's that opening that I was telling you about, where they have that little piece that goes in there that replicates an engine. Or you can put an engine in there if you wish, if you have one. I may have to, well, this one here, it's all one piece. It makes it okay. You can paint it up and detail it pretty fast. On this tree right here, you have your front, I guess, fascia, bumper. I think it's a bumper. I think they called that a bumper back then. Here's that engine insert. And your opening hood. No detail on the bottom. No detail on the bottom of that hood whatsoever. And your front seats. Now, it also comes with 4 pretty solid Redline tires and 1 steel axle. That'll go on the rear wheels. Tread pattern is pretty nice, kind of standard. Your chrome tree, your grill inserts, and your rear bumper. It gives you 2 different sets of wheels. I'm not sure which set I'm going to go with yet. I have to think about that. Here's your decal sheet. There's your GTO logos, a couple of different license plates, striping in black and white, depending on, you use whatever, depending on the color you paint your body. And you have your different Pontiac emblems as well. Now, I talked about how you can put an engine in this kit if you wish, and it just so happens I was able to track one down on eBay. This is an engine out of a 77 Firebird or Trans Am, one of the two, I'm not sure. It was a 77 Pontiac. Anyway, just gives you 2 little chrome trees here, valve covers, radiator hose. I'm not sure why it has a belt like that in there. It does have the stock one though. Your fan distributor. Now that's definitely a 77 distributor. You won't find one like that in a 68. I put one like that on my 71 Impala that I own. Well, I owned a few years ago. I still have the engine, but the car just fell apart. Here's the rest of the parts, oil pan and exhaust manifold, stuff like that. I'm not a big fan of the one-piece intake manifold cylinder head style engines, but for the price of this car kit, or car engine I should say, I can't complain. I think it was, after shipping and everything, it was about $8. That's how much I used to pay for model kits back in the day. Here's that 400 Pontiac engine. So I may have to modify either this transmission output or the chassis where the drive shaft is. I'm not sure yet. I have not test fitted it. Obviously you can see that it's still attached to the tree. I just opened this box just a few minutes ago, so alright, well, that's it. Oh, one other thing I almost forgot. That engine did not come with an air cleaner. It had everything else to build the engine, but not an air cleaner. So I have this leftover part tree from, I want to say this was from the 70 Super Bee. That thing had a lot of extra parts. I'm so grateful. I do have the 6-pack air cleaner, which obviously will not work with this engine, but I do have this one here and these two over here, so I can use one of these or this one here. I'm not really sure yet which one I'm going to use, but one of those are going to be going on this engine. Now, last but not least is the one sheet, or one page I should say, front and back direction sheet. And as you can see, it's fairly simple, basic build instructions. There's not a whole lot to this kit. I'm not sure the parts count. I did not look to see how what the parts count is in this, but it's not very high. Let's see if it has it listed. Sometimes they don't even list the parts numbering. 49 parts. This kit has 49 parts in it, minus the extra 12 or so here. Alright, I haven't decided on which color I'm going to paint this car yet. I'll have to think on that. Like I said, I just opened the box, and normally that kind of stuff kind of jumps out at me and what color it wants to be. This one here has not screamed at me yet. So let me get over to the paint booth. There's not a whole lot of sub-assemblies to do. Just a little on the chassis. I got to put the axle locators on the front and rear, and that's about it. Let me get over to the paint booth. Let's lay down some primer. I'll try to make up my mind what color this thing's going to be, and we'll go from there. So I'll see you at the paint booth. Alright fellas, just a real quick update. I do have the engine finally painted and assembled. I think it looks really sharp, but when I tried to fit it, I had to modify the chassis quite a bit. I had to grind out all of this over here back to the U-joint. I had to grind down just a little bit here. These parts of the control arms, the lower control arms, and I had to dig out, or grind out I should say, grind out part of the chassis here. It doesn't affect its look on the bottom, but I had to do that in order to fit the bell housing and everything down in there. And even still, even after all of that, I still can't put my fan on the engine. So I suppose I could grind out more of this, but if you look under here, this is part of the, I'm guessing it would be like the radiator or radiator shroud that's left here, and I don't want to dig that out. I want to leave that the way it is. I did grind down a little of it, not a whole bunch, but I did do, like I said, a lot of grinding from this point down to about here, about where that pin is, and the same on this side here. It's I still have to do a little cleanup there. I just noticed that. I did touch up the paint. There we go. And if you're going to put the engine, put an engine in this car, make sure you put the front wheels on first, because they go on with these little plastic pins, and you got to push them in from this side and then attach your wheels. This one doesn't want to spin very well. That one there is locked up. This one does spin. That's fine. It'll keep it from rolling off the shelf. But anyway, yeah, if you're gonna put the engine, put an engine in, and if you happen to come across this one I believe this was it's a Pontiac 400 small block, and I think that the listing said it was from a Trans Am. I might be incorrect, but I think that's what the listing said. It works, it fits, but like I said, I had to grind out over here for the exhaust manifold to clear. Excuse me. And a little bit over here for the exhaust manifold to clear. I am making pipes to connect between the exhaust manifolds and this point here on the chassis. I have to wait for the paint to dry on the pieces of wire that I used. I just kind of pre-shaped them, and then got a coat of paint on them, and I'm waiting for that paint to dry. Once that's dry, I can go ahead and install those and complete the installation of the engine. And then it's on to the back wheels. I might do the back wheels next, just to get that out of the way. Like I said, I didn't have an air cleaner for this engine. It didn't come with one. So this is the one out of the Coronet Super B kit. And I guess it looks kind of sporting for a 68 model year car. I don't like the belt assembly there. I don't like the way it's set up, because that's not how the 68 would have been done. The alternator would have been over on this side of the main pulley, and the power steering pump, if it was even on here to begin with, would not have been this high on the engine. But it is what it is. Can't do anything to change that, and I don't have any spare parts like that. So that's the engine. That's the way it's going to go in. So let's continue on. Now I did modify this because I suspected on the stock holes that the rear end was going to sit kind of low, and if you've been following my channel for a while, you know that that's not how I like the car to end up. I like just a little bit of a lift in the back end. When I drilled those holes, I did not get them exactly right, so I am going to kind of try to correct that problem. And I'm not sure which drill bit I used, so I'm going to have to test fit everything. Yeah, that one will work. It's a little bit bigger than the hole, and that's fine, because right now the holes are not lining up properly. So I'm going to have to dig out a little bit more plastic. By making that hole just a little bit bigger, it will allow me to have a little bit of play there for that axle to go through. And there we go. And that gives them just a little bit of lift in the back end, just a little bit. About maybe 1/16 or so of an inch. So that'll give me the stance that I'm looking for. Let's see if I can get this one pushed on, because I had to kind of hammer that other side in. There it is. Doesn't roll real well, but well, maybe just kind of wear it in a little bit. There. Okay, let's get on with the engine installation, and then I got to finish up painting the interior. It needs another coat of paint. I'm going to leave that as a surprise for right now. It's right over here, but I'm going to leave it as a surprise. So I'll be right back. I got to let this paint dry, and I'll be right back, and we'll get this engine installed. Okay guys, I got the engine installed now, and I had to, these pipes were hard to get in there, so I had to put them in while the engine was glued here in the back. I couldn't glue the front of the engine down until I got the pipes into the manifolds, and I'd just have them just kind of laying here, and once the glue dries, I'll go ahead and trim these off and attach them to these pipes here, and then I'm going to have to touch up the paint. Also going to have to touch up the paint on the engine block too, or on the oil pan at least, because, well, repeated test fittings kind of mucked up the paint, and the glue did as well, so I'm going to have to touch that up. So see if I can roll this over so you can look at it. As you can see, the engine just fits in there. There's no room for error. So I would not recommend getting this particular engine for this car. I know that they do make the 68 GTO Judge. Those might still be available. I don't know. I did not research that. But that might fit better. Or you could just change out the whole chassis pan with the Judge, instead of using the one that come in this kit. I don't know if the attachment points will be the same with the body or not. That could be a sticking point, I guess you could say. But got the engine in. Gotta let that glue dry. See, that not quite dry yet. That one wants to dangle. So I'm going to leave this set overnight. Oh, and I knocked off the distributor when I was monkeying around with the thing. So anyway, I'm going to leave this set overnight. Let that let that glue dry, and then I'll snip and attach the pipes. So for me, it'll be 8 hours or so. For you, it'll only be mere seconds. So I'll see you in a little bit. Alright fellas, I just finished up the bare metal foil. I know I didn't show it. You guys have seen it done by me a dozen of times. So got just the few little sub-assemblies that I have to put together. Got to get the glass in the body. Here's the foil work. Oops, there we go. All the way around on the windshield and the back window. Got the interior assembled, and the chassis with the engine. That's not supposed to be in there. Okay, let me get the windows thrown in this, and we'll get it over to the final. Alright fellas, I'm getting ready to install the glass here. I did discover something in a test fit, that the holes, I don't know if you can see those, the holes for the alignment pins in the glass itself, the holes weren't molded open enough to actually fit over the pins. So I had to take my X-Acto knife and just kind of round them out like that. You could also take a pin vise drill and drill them out if you prefer, but I did have to open those pinholes up just a little bit so that the glass, when you put it in, will, I don't know if you can see what I'm doing here. That it will align over the pins and then just kind of, oh, now it's not wanting to do it. There we go. That it just snaps down in place. So let me get a little bit of glue on that, and we'll get to the back one. I had to do the same thing with the back window because it has these nice holes and alignment pins in the body. It holds the glass in place, so when you're gluing it down, the window won't shift. So it makes it a little easier. Let me glob on some glue here and make this kind of permanent. And of course, I always use the Mod Podge for the glass. It dries clear. It doesn't mess up your windows. It doesn't fog them. If you make a mistake, you can just take a warm cloth and warm wet cloth, I should say, and use it to remove the glue. Now, I don't always, let me rephrase this. I don't believe in putting a lot of glue on anything, especially when just a little blob will do. There's no point in putting on a whole bunch of glue, especially if you're using like tube glue, because that usually ends up deforming the plastic. Those 4 little globs is all that you need. So we'll let that set and cure. Then we got to get on to putting this body onto the chassis and doing the final steps. I do need to paint in these turn signals. Now, on the original images that I found of the original 68 GTOs, these were like a white or clear plastic. But I'm thinking, let me take a look here before I go out on a tangent. Yeah, I think I could probably just leave those clear. Typically, I like to use the Tamiya orange clear on my turn signals, but I think I'm going to try and see what these look like just inserted into the front bumper assembly there. If they don't look real good to me, I'll go ahead and paint them orange with the orange clear. And then of course we have the taillights we have to install yet. And then there's the decals. We've got to get the decals put on. I've already got the grill pieces painted in with the Tamiya panel and line paint. And we got mirrors we have to install yet. So just fine details at the end. Welcome back to the final on this 1968 Pontiac GTO Hardtop Craftsman Plus series by AMT. This being the Craftsman Plus series of kits, well, it comes with everything but the engine. It was a fun build, even with its few hiccups. It went together really well right up until it was time to put the body on the chassis. In the direction sheet, it basically shows the interior tub going into the body and then the chassis goes on. I tried to put it together like this, but the body would not drop down onto the alignment pins that are in there for that. I determined that it was the interior tub that was preventing the body from dropping into place. Looking at the chassis, I noticed that there were 4 locating pins on it and matching holes on the bottom of the interior tub. So when I attached the interior tub to the 4 locating pins, I was able to get the body into its alignment, with the alignment pins, with almost 0 issues. The body fit kind of tight, and I had to sort of shoehorn it over the chassis with my number 10 blade. I just kind of put it in there, and just kind of pried it out a little bit so it would slip past. Once it was in place, I didn't need to glue it together because it fits really tight. The front and rear bumpers went on really easy from that point. The decals, though, those were the biggest challenge to building this kit. It's no wonder that round 2 was so gracious to include a host of GTO and red side marker decals in the kit. Even with setting solution, these decals refuse to set in place. So be aware of that. You may have that problem with your build. Well, I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, go ahead and click that thumbs up button. If you have any questions or comments, please write those in the comments section below, and I'll be happy to respond as soon as possible. Be sure to follow me on Facebook, and don't forget to check out my new merchandise shop by following the link in the description box below. And if you want more videos like this one, make sure to hit that subscribe button and the bell icon so that you're aware of my next upcoming video. Thanks for watching Scale Out a Guy's Workbench, and I'll see you on the next build.